There is a particular stillness that settles over a stadium just before a pole vaulter begins her run. The bar waits in silence, balanced between gravity and belief. The runway stretches forward, narrow and unforgiving. In that moment, the sport reveals its truth. Pole vault is not only about height, but about courage, about trusting speed, timing, and a slender pole to carry the body beyond what once seemed possible. For Lisa Ryzih, that moment was repeated thousands of times across her career, each approach a quiet conversation between fear and faith. Her story is not defined by global dominance or Olympic podiums. It is defined by persistence, by resilience, and by a commitment to remain present in a discipline that demands perfection while rarely offering certainty. Pole vault is a sport where centimeters decide seasons, and where progress is often invisible until it suddenly is not. Lisa Ryzih built her career within that reality, navigating the delicate balance between ambition and patience, between expectation and acceptance. Long before international competitions and national championships, there was simply a young athlete learning how to move, how to jump, how to test the limits of her body. Born on September 27, 1988, in Düsseldorf, Germany, Lisa Ryzih grew up in an environment where sport was encouraged as a part of personal development rather than a guaranteed pathway to success. Her childhood was marked by activity, curiosity, and a natural inclination toward movement. Athletics entered her life not as destiny, but as opportunity. Like many young athletes in Germany, her early years in sport were shaped by variety. She explored different disciplines, learning coordination, speed, and rhythm. Track and field offered a structured outlet for her energy, and within that structure she began to discover where her strengths lay. Jumping events, in particular, suited her athletic profile. They demanded not only physical power, but spatial awareness and technical precision, qualities she steadily developed. Her first exposure to pole vault came during her youth development years, when coaches identified her potential for the event. Pole vault is unlike most disciplines in athletics. It requires trust in equipment, an understanding of complex mechanics, and a willingness to fail repeatedly in pursuit of improvement. For a young athlete, the learning curve can be intimidating. Ryzih approached it methodically, embracing the challenge rather than resisting it. As she entered structured training, she became part of Germany's youth athletics system, progressing through regional and national competitions. These early meets were less about results and more about adaptation, learning how to manage nerves, how to adjust technique under pressure, and how to recover from unsuccessful attempts. Progress was incremental. Bars rose slowly, and each new personal best felt earned rather than gifted. Her development continued through her teenage years, where she balanced education with increasing training demands. The commitment required discipline and time management, skills that would become essential later in her career. Coaches emphasized fundamentals, approach speed, takeoff accuracy, pole selection, and body control over the bar. Each session focused on refinement rather than spectacle. As she transitioned into senior-level competition, Ryzih entered a phase common to many athletes, one defined by adjustment. The gap between youth success and senior competitiveness is often wide, and pole vault magnifies that challenge. Senior competitions introduced deeper fields, higher bars, and more experienced rivals. Results varied, but she remained committed, continuing to develop physically and technically. Her rise through the German athletics system brought opportunities to compete nationally and internationally. She represented Germany at European-level events and gained valuable experience in international meetings. These competitions exposed her to different conditions, competitive rhythms, and psychological pressures. Each meet contributed to her understanding of what elite performance demanded. Over time, her consistency improved. She began clearing heights that placed her among Germany's leading pole vaulters. National championships became a regular fixture in her calendar, offering both challenge and motivation. While podium finishes were hard-fought, her presence at the top domestic level reflected years of steady progression. Training routines during this phase were demanding and structured. Pole vault training requires a careful balance between speed work, strength training, technical drills, and recovery. Ryzih's preparation emphasized precision, ensuring that every phase of the jump aligned smoothly. Outside the runway, conditioning and flexibility played crucial roles in injury prevention and performance longevity. Like many pole vaulters, she faced setbacks that tested her resolve. Injuries, technical plateaus, and periods of inconsistency are common in the discipline. When progress stalled, she adjusted rather than retreated, working with coaches to refine technique and rebuild confidence. These periods reinforced an important lesson: success in pole vault is rarely linear. Her perseverance yielded moments of breakthrough. Clearances at major competitions affirmed her place at the national and international level. She qualified for European championships and represented Germany on significant stages, experiences that demanded composure and resilience. Each appearance strengthened her competitive identity, even when results did not fully reflect her preparation. As her career matured, Ryzih became known for her professionalism and commitment to the process. She approached competitions with focus, understanding that every attempt mattered. In a sport where failure is visible and frequent, her ability to reset mentally between jumps became one of her strengths. Beyond athletics, she pursued education alongside her sporting career, preparing for life beyond competition. This dual focus provided balance and perspective, reinforcing the idea that athletic identity, while powerful, did not define her entire future. The discipline required to manage both paths mirrored the discipline she brought to training. By the time she reached her peak competitive years, Lisa Ryzih had established herself as a respected national-level athlete and consistent international competitor. Her career reflected dedication rather than spectacle, persistence rather than dominance. She had earned her place through effort sustained over time, navigating the realities of elite sport with composure. As she continued competing at the highest levels available to her, the question gradually shifted from how high she could jump to how long she wished to remain in the arena. Pole vault demands both physical courage and emotional resilience, and sustaining motivation across years requires clarity of purpose. Ryzih approached this phase thoughtfully, aware that transitions are as much a part of an athletic career as breakthroughs. The longer an athlete remains at the elite level, the more the sport begins to demand answers. Not just physical answers, but emotional ones. Why continue? What is still worth chasing? For Lisa Ryzih, these questions emerged gradually, shaped by years of competition, where progress was measured in centimeters and seasons were defined by moments of execution rather than headlines. As her career entered its most visible phase, she stood among Germany's leading pole vaulters. National championships were no longer introductions but expectations. Each competition carried the weight of consistency, the understanding that maintaining form mattered as much as achieving breakthroughs. She continued to represent Germany internationally, navigating qualification rounds, adapting to changing conditions, and learning how to manage the unique rhythm of championship formats. One of the defining moments of her career came at the European Indoor Championships in 2015, competing against Europe's best in a controlled, unforgiving environment where every attempt was magnified. Ryzih delivered a composed and confident performance. As the bar rose and the field narrowed, she remained focused, clearing heights that placed her firmly among the continent's elite. When the competition concluded, she stood on the podium as a European indoor silver medalist, the most significant international medal of her career. That result represented validation, not a sudden transformation, but confirmation that years of persistence had earned their reward. Indoor championships demand precision and mental strength, and her ability to perform under that pressure spoke to her growth as an athlete. The medal also carried symbolic weight, reinforcing her place within Germany's pole vaulting tradition and marking a high point in her competitive journey. In the seasons that followed, Ryzih continued to compete at major championships. She represented Germany at World Championships and qualified for the Olympic Games, reaching the pinnacle stage of international sport. The Olympic experience is singular, an atmosphere unlike any other, where preparation meets global expectation. For Ryzih, simply standing on that stage reflected the totality of her journey, from youth athletics to the highest level of competition. Olympic qualification is never guaranteed, particularly in a technically demanding event like pole vault. Her presence there was the product of consistency, national-level success, and the ability to meet qualifying standards under pressure. While the competition itself did not result in a final appearance, it added another defining chapter to her career, reinforcing the depth of experience she had accumulated. As time passed, the realities of elite sport became increasingly apparent. Pole vault places significant strain on the body, particularly on joints, tendons, and the nervous system. Managing recovery became as important as training itself. Like many athletes in technical events, Ryzih faced periods where maintaining peak form required careful balance rather than escalation. Training during these years emphasized sustainability. Sessions were structured around efficiency, technical refinement, and injury prevention. The goal shifted subtly from chasing constant improvement to preserving performance quality. This phase of her career reflected maturity and understanding that longevity requires restraint as much as ambition. Mentally, she approached competitions with increased clarity. Success was no longer defined solely by results, but by execution and presence. In a sport where failure is built into the structure, where even champions miss bars, she demonstrated the ability to reset, to remain composed after unsuccessful attempts, and to compete with professionalism. Eventually, the question of transition moved from abstract to practical. Retirement from elite athletics is rarely abrupt. It unfolds through reflection, physical feedback, and evolving priorities. For Ryzih, the decision came with awareness rather than regret. She had competed at the highest levels available to her, represented her country with integrity, and achieved international recognition. When she stepped away from professional pole vaulting, she entered a new chapter shaped by education and career development. Having pursued academic studies alongside athletics, she transitioned into professional life beyond elite sport. The discipline, time management, and resilience developed through years of competition informed her path forward. Life after athletics did not erase her identity as an athlete. Instead, it reframed it. The lessons learned on the runway, patience, adaptability, and trust in preparation, remained relevant beyond competition. Her journey reflected a broader truth shared by many elite athletes, that the end of a sporting career is not an end to purpose, but a redirection of it. Looking back, Lisa Ryzih's story is one of perseverance rather than spectacle. She did not dominate headlines, but she sustained excellence in one of athletics' most unforgiving disciplines. She navigated the German athletics system with commitment, reached international podiums, competed at the Olympic Games, and remained present in a sport that tests both body and belief. Her legacy lives in the example she set, an athlete who embraced complexity, accepted uncertainty, and continued forward regardless. In pole vault, where success is never guaranteed and progress is often fragile, her career stands as proof that persistence itself is an achievement. Thank you for watching this story on Behind the Medal. If Lisa Ryzih's journey inspired you, please like the video, share it with those who appreciate the deeper stories behind sport, and subscribe to the channel for more cinematic documentaries that honor dedication, resilience, and the human side of athletics. This video contains AI-generated images. They are used only for creative illustration and may not represent the athlete's exact appearance.